Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too, welcome back to the channel. I'm Bushka, and today's video is the second part of the CQC, the Ultimate Guide series that I'm putting together. And if you want to play better, get more chicken dinners, win more of these brawls, and basically be a better all-round gunfighter, then this is a series that you should probably watch. Last week we did a whole lot of stuff. We did how to locate targets using the minimap, sound, knowing the numbers, all that kind of stuff. We did the weapons selection, then we talked about the peeker's advantage and desync. All these are really, really important things. And today we want to talk about a little bit about the chaos theory of close quarters combat and about surviving the early game and changing angles in your own CQC moments. You can see everything that's happening here. I'm constantly giving the guy who's shooting different looks. One of the worst things you can do is be a predictable player. If you're predictable, it's very, very easy to game plan you out, which is really important. So what I'm going to do is talk about changing angles, and then we're going to talk about the survival thing all in one big package. I've got a great bit of CQC FPP stuff from a red hot Novo crates drop. The peeker's advantage is something I talked a lot about last week. That's the desync thing, and you should probably go and watch the desync video I've got up to explain desync and the kind of weapons you can select that will actually help you with it. But the angle changing is the big priority this week. In all the video that you're going to see, you are going to see me constantly moving to good positions. And one of the reasons that I really think FPP is the king of close quarters combat is you have to constantly make decisions. You don't get given the information free of charge. And it means that often you do things that in FPP you could do that you just would not be able to do in TPP. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a lot of things that in TPP would be a bad push. Like you can't just push into someone like I'm going to do here after you get damage into them, because what would happen is the guy would be able to get a heal up while being behind cover and watch until you're out in the open field, and then he can just strafe out and kill you. TPP rewards that. That's all there is to it, but FPP doesn't allow you to do that. So what you want to do all the time in FPP rather, first person perspective combat, is constantly move and shake and change the look. And sometimes that means you've got to take some risks and actually push out into targets, and that can be pretty scary. And one of the things that I want to talk about today is the decision-making process for that, and how you can figure out when you should be pushing and when you should be pulling back and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to do it through the lens of this crazy FPP hot drop at Novo crates. Now you can see there are 3 squads around us now, and there's more people dropping all over the place. It's pretty hectic. It's just, there's people on my left, there's people on my right. And the first thing you want to be thinking about when you're brawling in close quarters combat is getting a gun. And then my first thought here is I just want to get out. There is just no way in the world that I really want to be stuck in an area with 2 separate squads, not a lot of gear, and a whole lot of angry humans. So the thing I want to do is just get a gun and move out of there. Now you can see I've only got 14 rounds. One of the problems with this is when you are auto picking up stuff in any kind of hot drop situation, it'll pick the gun up, and if you start firing and fighting with that gun straight away, then you're going to find yourself in this dire predicament where you don't have any ammo in the clip. Now, the chaos theory of FPP is something I mentioned at the beginning. There is a mate of mine whose son plays in the same basketball team as my son, and we talked about this quite a while ago, where when they're really young kids, basically the longer the game goes on and they're in possession of the ball, the more likely that there's going to be a turnover, because they just make mistakes. Oftentimes in these really hot drops, that's something that actually happens. And what I want you to realize here is how cautious I play this, despite the fact that I have so many opportunities for shots. Look at how I'm constantly staying next to hard cover, and I'm letting all the other kids playing basketball screw up and turn the ball over while I just stay on the edges and pick through whatever's left over. And whatever's left over actually ends up to, you know, be a pretty rich feast. There's a lot of squads down this end of the map who are very, very poor in terms of outfits, in terms of gear, in terms of guns. There's someone trying to take off in a bloody boat. This guy over here doesn't have much in the way of ammo. We thump guns into him. Someone else is actually going to knock that bloke from way out the other side of the map. And at the same time, This whole chaos theory, just staying alive, staying in hard cover, getting a gun, and I'm going to loot absolutely everything. Now, this is a key in close quarters combat early game. Just loot everything. You'll come across stuff that you don't have the gun for that ammo type, and yet you'll still loot it because you're going to get to a point where you just don't have any ammunition in one gun. You might come across a UMP, and that 9mm suddenly becomes very, very valuable, and you're picking up the 9 and doing your best with it. Okay, great. Talking about changing angles. Have a look at how often I'm firing from exactly the same position. This crate is a really nice look, but I've moved all over the map so far to get these kills. I'm constantly moving and shaking, and I'm moving from one good position to the next. Now that's a bot, happy days. The reason I'm thirsting him up is quite obvious. I don't have a lot of anything. I need everything. Now someone is shooting at me down there. That's fine, stay calm, stay cool. You've got to do this a lot because you really need to improve the way you think through situations. And you can see all I'm worried about here is the loot. That guy can stay there. As long as he's down there and I'm behind a wall and I can still access that crate, that's fine. And I've been looting a whole lot of stuff, grabbing 9mm whenever I can get it, and I'm looking for something other than, oh, there's a UMP, great, we'll probably grab that, get rid of the Tommy gun. I'm not a big fan of the Tommy gun. We've got it 8 times, maybe look for something that's a little longer on the scopage so we can engage those guys down in the south. But we're just poking and peeking, seeing what's in there. I could use a vest, I could use a helmet. As long as we're cool and calm, we're going to be all right. Or at least we're going to be better off. Now, things have settled down, so we've got to start really playing this very carefully. There is at least one squad left. Someone has won the fight for the crates down the other end of the map. Someone is probably a little bit further in to my southwest. I definitely didn't throw that grenade, and people are hitting me, and there's gunfire coming this way. So I'm certainly still on the radar. People know what's going on. And that whole chaos theory thing is so evident when you're playing like this. And one of the keys to FPP is just scraping by and surviving in CQC combat. Because if you try to win the game this early, I mean, I know it's I've used this before, but if you try to win early, you can lose. You can't win the chicken dinner at Novo crates right now. All you can do is survive and get past Novo crates to try and win the chicken dinner. And let's be honest, that's kind of why we're here doing this thing. So I'm being very, very cautious. I got, 6 kills? I mean, a couple of those were bots, but a lot of them were just picking off the early targets that were targets of opportunity. Even though I don't have a 5.56 weapon, you can see me picking up that 5.56 gear in case I need it. If you've got backpack space open and it's this early in a drop, just take everything. You might need it, it might be helpful, and then you can worry about getting rid of it as the backpack fills up, which I think is just like I mean, that should be common sense, surely. We're going to get into a gunfight in just a second with the last remaining squad here at crates. And I'm going to hammer this home all the time, anytime I do a close quarters combat guide. But angle changing, you saw it a couple of times at the start. You saw it throughout the course of that gunfight where I just kept moving from one crate to the next, taking out another target, moving. I am going to run around like a lunatic, and I'm going to absolutely change angles all the time. If you're alone, this is absolutely one of the most important factors to your gameplay. If you're in a squad, it's less so, but it's still important. Anytime, as I said earlier, that you let people know where you are and you don't change your position is a time when they can either game plan you out of the engagement or they can physically take you out of the engagement. And by that, I want you to how can I relate this to you? If I'm looking at a map, angles are what it's all about. I want to have secure flanks, and I want to have the ability to target people and then isolate them from everything else. And that's what I'm doing here by changing angles, is I'm constantly looking to isolate a target. And you can see there is someone over there. So I'm going to drop a lot of what you'd call landmine grenades, I guess, where they either run over them and blow up, or it moves them around the map. It stops them from actually doing a whole lot of anything to me and allows me to control the situation and just cause more and more of this chaos. And this is exactly like that turnover idea that I was talking about before, where the longer, I mean, watch this, that's going to come down. I'm going to fire to try and get the guy to run down here. Like, come here, I'm over here. and he doesn't fall for it. So we chuck another one. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come down here. Come down here. Just miss him. That's all right. And that chaos thing where the longer you let people run around and isolate them, the more likely it is that they make a mistake like this and get stuck down a single lane corridor with no help and give me a whole lot of gear that I can use, namely more Grents. And look at this. I'm just constantly changing angles. The amount of times I change corridors of fire, and we're going to do a thing on pre-firing. Don't worry. That is going to happen. We just missed the clip reload there. If I had been running 2 ARs, I could have switched very, very quickly. As it is, we're back. We're sticking another heal in. We're letting that chaos take control, but it's not taking control of us. We're controlling the situation. Throwing Grens, just, nah, it doesn't look like a good Gren to me. The guy's not there. I'm contemplating going back up top. I saw him down the end there. He's waiting for me to peek that again. So we're going to go around here behind the door and throw a Gren at exactly where that guy is. And then we're going to move. I mean, watch this. This is just hilarious how often I do this. Pre-fire, whole peek a corner. Do it again. Do it again. Guy down the end is just absolutely baffled at the moment as to what's going on. Drop a Gren around the corner. Get ready. Pre-fire. He must think he's fighting 3 different people because it's just hilarious. And he's actually throwing Grens down the end now, and we get him. And he's the last member of the squad. Don't know where the 4th guy never turned up. I'm Bushka. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you take something seriously good away from that when you put it in your own CQC. The changing of the angles, the chaos and the survival that needs to be taking place with all of that, you know, and just making sure that you get through that early engagement, you loot hard, you take targets of opportunity, and you really work on giving different looks to the bad guys. Movement is just going to save you so much, and you better believe we're going to be doing a thing about movement and pre-firing in the next CQC Ultimate Guide. Thank you so much for watching. Look after yourselves, and as always, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.